work does it, if hard work by itself does it, then everybody should push across the line. And everybody should, progress in their career at exactly the right time. And there shouldn't be a need to, you know, want to have too much conversations. Everybody should just keep moving and everybody should get to the top. And there wouldn't be a differentiator between those who are above average performers and average performers. But hard work by itself isn't going to get you across the line because hard work is just a piece of the pie. And that is what a lot of people would not say to you. Now, if you don't have any leverage, grit will always be your leverage. Grit will always be your lever. So even if nothing else, or if you don't have leverage, if you don't have people to recommend you, if you don't have the push, if you don't have the pull, grit will always get you grit will always be there as leverage for you. However, when it comes to your career, especially as you grow in your career, hard work by itself will not cut it. The reason why hard work by itself alone will not cut it is because an average person you see on your team is working hard, or at least they think they are working hard, or at least management thinks they are working hard. So sometimes, and in fact, in most cases, hard work is not an effective differentiator. So if, for instance, you have lost opportunities and it's looking like, oh, but why should I lose this opportunity? I've been working really hard. I have, tried my best. I've been doing all these things. I've pushed more than the average other, colleague at work. Why am I not being recognized for the work that I'm doing? Maybe because you're working hard first on the minor things they being the decision makers don't really care about, or you're working on the major things, however, you are eating, or you're working on the minor things and you're still eating anyway. So you need to think about smart strategies. And beyond that, you also need to get yourself into the right mindset and the right frame of work. So the perfect combination of you delivering, continuous progress in your career, progression and all of that is for you to work hard, bring on board smart strategies, and at the same time have the right mindset that your career needs. So if I dive right into every single one of it, the first one is hard work. Now, the thing I'm going to say to you about hard work is just working hard, like I said, is not going to cut it. But also, even if you're working hard, work hard on the right things. Don't just work hard. So work hard on the things that are seen, because when it comes to your corporate career, what is not seen is not done. Um, and that is just the blueprint. What is not seen is not done. It's just the invisible rule. So when it comes to in your business, it's quite different. If you're building a brand, like I'm building a brand, it's quite different because what is not seen is still done, because what you do in private will show up in public. Because, for instance, I'm recording these voices for you and I don't have any talking points because I have over the years created these multiple dozens and dozens of mental models that has helped me coach, you know, thousands of professionals in different capacities, in webinars, in seminars, in conferences, in one-on-one sessions, in a community like this and all of that. And I've written to thousands of professionals every single day for the last couple of years. And I have built all of these mental models and they work really well. So what I'm going to say to you is that you cannot just work hard on things that are seen in your branding. Even if you're working hard, like, so for instance, I've done all of those things, some of them in private, not everybody knows about them, but it's not showing up because I can show up anywhere, stand up on any platform, stand up on any stage and give my talk because I know what I'm talking about. Okay, so work hard, but in corporate, what you do in private that is not seen in public cannot be celebrated because people don't celebrate what they don't know and don't see. So think about that when it comes to hard work. That is the piece of advice I'm going to give you, is that don't just work hard on the right things. Now, when it comes to smart strategies, you need to think about positioning. You need to think about positioning for promotion, positioning for opportunities that enhances your pay, positioning for opportunities that help you do things that exposes you technically. So you need to position yourself in such a way that you have the right access to the opportunities that you want. And with positioning, I've talked a lot in the community about trying to position yourself. But one of the key things I would say about positioning is having the right conversations about your ambition, registering your ambition, talking about your ambition, and remaining locked in with the decision makers and the influencers in your environment, in your work environment, that help you build visibility. So it's the visibility that people see you for the right amount of work that you're doing. So you need to think about some of those smart strategies that help you gain visibility, that make people know you for the right things, and just help, people get to a point where they can make a decision about making sure that you are compensated for the work that you do. Now, when it comes to the right mindset is so foundational that even if you're working on big things, you have the visibility, but your mind is not right, you will continue to self-sabotage. One of the critical mindset shifts that you need to have, for instance, is the fact that your career is a business. Your career is not something you play with. It's not something you run on autopilot. It's a business. Your employer is your customer, and you must take care of your employer by giving your absolute best so that you can also continue to grow in your career and your career can be profitable. That is one of the mindset shifts that you need to have, because if you start thinking like the owner of a business, you will start optimizing for revenue and for profit and all the nice and fancy stuff when it comes to building a profitable career. So you need to think like that for your career, the right mindset, putting yourself in a situation where. So another mindset is the fact that I am not a victim. I am part of leadership. I am part of management. I'm not a victim. Here, I am not being told what to do. If I see a gap, I'm going to call it out, and I'm going to be part of those who do the things that is moving here. I'm going to be part of the important things going on here. So that is part of the right mindset that you could have, that automatically, because you have that mindset, then your actions are driven off the back of that mindset. Because if you think that you are part of the owners of the business, of your employer's business, then you will get to know the business, you will understand the business, you'll be able to contribute more meaningfully in conversations, you'll be able to have insightful contributions, so in such a way that your contribution score goes up. And then people will be like, if he was able to have this conversation to this level of confidence, and was able to add so much value, let's take him along to the next meeting, and then let's take him along to the next meeting. And it gets to a point where your bosses cannot go into meetings without taking you along, because they know that when you get into those meetings, you will throw the right challenge, you will ask the right questions, and you will contribute very meaningfully to the conversations. So they will take you to the next meeting, and to the next meeting, and to the next meeting. And in those meetings, opportunities will come up as to who takes charge of some critical, so for some critical projects, and they will be like, why don't you try? Or you can also raise your hand, and then you take the project, you lead the project, you do it so well, and they're like, oh, he did, or he or she did over and beyond. And then they will say, okay, I think he's ready, I think she's ready, let's give her this next opportunity. They give you the next opportunity, you continue like that, rinse and repeat. All of this stems from the right mindset. Another mindset is that I only grow in my career to the extent of my competence, and my competence drives my confidence, and my ability to understand for certain and for sure what's going to happen next is going to determine where I sit on the spectrum of confidence in my career. And if I understand all of these things, then I will show up more confidently to my meetings with my key stakeholders. And the more confident they see me show up, the more they can trust me with more leadership opportunities, and the more they can trust me with their people. Another mindset shift or mindset you know, another mindset shift you can think about is that I make the right decisions, even if I don't have all of the information. And I don't just make the right decisions, I make quick, fast decisions, or even though they are complicated, and I go all the way out to make sure that the decisions I make become right decisions, because it is not about the decision I make, it is what I do after I've made the decision. That is another mindset shift that you can bring on board in your career that can then help you come into complicated situations at work, for instance, and then you'll be like, let's make a decision. And you go, you make the decision, you have the conversations with your bosses, and they're like, well, I agree with you. Let's go with your decision. And then once they start seeing that you're making more of the right decisions, they begin to trust you with more opportunities. And then they begin to trust you with their people, because they know that at that point you're making decisions that not only affect just the work, it also affects the literal lives of the people that they've given to you to take care of. These are the things you need to think about when you're progressing your career. So it's not just I am working hard, because that is not by itself a differentiator, or at least not an effective differentiator. It is it is one of many things. So you need to think about working hard, grit as a leverage in your career. You must think about smart strategies that give you visibility. And you must think about the right mindsets. As long as you remain within the community, you will continue to learn so many mental models from me that will help you show up not just to your career, show up effectively, profitably, not just to your career, but to life as well. I hope this blesses you. Remain fantastic.